I believe that the way the industry is evolving is it's evolving towards solutions. When I had my company, we had started the company and we were selling innovative Wi-Fi and, access points with 4 MIMO streams and like
Right.
all these technical things. And then what happened over time is customers were like, yeah, no shit, I need my network to work. I just expect it to work. It wasn't a luxury anymore. It was a utility. It was the network needs to work in my building. And so I'd get copied on emails where our sales team was going into a CIO of a company and talking to them about the access points. And the CIO would respond back and say, hey, dude, I just want my apps to work in my warehouse. Can you do that? Like,
Right.
can you bill me monthly and just make my shit work is what they were basically saying. And I think that's the world we're in. And if that's the world we're in, then we've got to package all these things together. I've got to take hardware and licensing. I've got to take apps. I've got to take managed services. I've got to take installation and field services and put it all together. And I've got to bill that essentially in one bill to my customer. And what we found is that there's really nothing in the industry that did that the way we thought. So we built the CPQ as like the core kind of starting workflow on our software.
Okay. So it does do everything, all of that in one place.
And you were asking about like differentiation. I think it's really important is for people to wrap their mind around where the world is going, right? So if you look at like if you go to like 100 MSPs or 100 VAR websites, and you first start with the problem of, okay, I'm a customer and I want to buy from this company. Can they do business with the company online? And you can go to, the thing that's really shocking is you can go to MSPs or VARs. I say VARs with MSPs because there's a lot of billion-dollar VARs out there with $100 million MSP businesses that the industry doesn't categorize as an MSP, but they've got a $100 million MSP business, right? And you go to their websites and you can't buy from them online. Matter of fact, their portal, if you will, is basically service tickets. And I just believe that that's not what the customer wants. I believe the customer wants to do business with you. I believe that they want this modern kind of experience. And the only way to do that is to fix that infrastructure layer that's really running that service provider.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I mean, look, the old guys like us are shifting upward and outward, and the younger generation is coming in, and all they know is that. All they know is I'm gonna, I can go out and press a button and get what I need. And you're right,
Yes.
technology is not there yet, is not in that place. You can't go and do that. So I definitely see that happening. I'm a little wary of it all working, right? And it all coming together because we've just never seen it happen, right? I know exactly what you're talking about. And I love that you were banging your head against the wall trying to get to this point. So this is
Well, I would argue
stuff.
that, yeah, I would argue that we are seeing it happen, but we're seeing it happen at AWS. So if you look at AWS and Azure and you know the history of them, and there's no like book on AWS, you have to kind of like read a bunch of different things, put it together.
Right.
But if you know like the history and the story behind it, they were running data centers inside, Amazon, and they decided to build this business kind of operating system on top of it because they wanted to account for it internally, which is the advantage of having an anal retentive CEO is they wanted to allocate costs for everything. And so what it forced them to do is take a resource like a data center and then slice it up into individual components or bundles, if you will, or service offerings. And that's where the idea behind compute and storage and things like that, came from. And that is what became AWS. They just made that available outside AWS. So if you think about that from just like an architecture perspective, they had a service delivery layer, that's the data center where everything happens. They had a business operating system layer, which is where everything happens. It's a catalog, it's metering systems, it's bundles. And then on top of that, they build a customer experience layer. And that's what we see with AWS Customer Console and Azure Customer Portal and those types of things. I believe every MSP and every VAR will have to do that with whatever it is that they sell. And so if they're selling networks, they're going to have to live up to that standard where the customer can come to their site, they can say, I have a 100,000 square foot building, and the MSP needs to say that's going to be $10,000 a month or whatever the pricing is based on the options the customer wants. And the customer needs to be able to buy that and check out on their website. I believe that's the future. That's what customers expect.
And I'm not disagreeing with you. And I do believe that you're right. From an Amazon from an Amazon AWS standpoint, they're doing it a certain way. But what I'm
Yeah.
saying is it's not there yet for what you're talking about, unless TechGrid is this answer, right? That's where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so, you know, it's a great direction because it's true. It is a place where, you know, they're going to want to do that. And I will say there are businesses working on this similar idea, right? Trying to make it like, you know, this way. And I agree with you. You should be able to go to a website and these are my business concerns. Here's the business solution. Boom. And I want to be able to click it, right? I mean, sure, are there more complex things to deal with in our world? Yes. But for the most part, if I'm a business and I'm coming in and saying, "Hey, Phil, I have, I have holes or gaps in these areas. I can't sleep at night because I'm worried about I turn on the news and someone's talking about cybersecurity every 5 seconds."
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Right.
it's huge. Yeah.
Can I find that solution on here, click a button and have that happen? And by what you're doing, are you doing this and tying this to the MSPs that are using this service and allowing that to happen?
That's exactly what we're doing. So back to the kind of the platform idea is,
Yeah.
a lot of people don't understand or don't think about when you book something on OpenTable as an example. The reason why you're able to do that is because OpenTable actually provides a table management software to the restaurants. That's what digitizes the table, and then you and I can go and we can book things, online, whatever. And that's actually what we set out to do is, and the whole name TechGrid, where it came from, is that, when we started selling networks, people were scared of them. And then over time, they expected them. Like it's a utility. Like you don't it's not optional if you have Wi-Fi anymore. Like used to be an amenity. It's not like that. It's just, it's
Right.
expected. Now we complain when our Wi-Fi on the plane doesn't work.
True. I just did last week.
Exactly. Well, my kids, I have young children. I don't know how old your kids are, but my kids, they complain when the Wi-Fi in the car doesn't work.
Yeah.
I'm like, kids, I used to count trees when I was.
Let me just let me show you what a handshake sounds like.
That's right. It's just so funny how the world is now.
Right.
I have my youngest is almost 3, and he's already trying to talk to Alexa and tell Alexa to play music. I'm like, the world is just so different than cassette tapes, which is when I was a kid.
Right.
Oh man.
No, I get it, and it's moving faster now, right? It's changing. It's evolving much faster with everything that's going on. So I love the idea behind this. I really do. And I'd love to, I don't know. I was trying to think of some questions from a standpoint of the platform because of, I've not used it. Clearly it's newer and I'm on the other side of this fence, but what's some of the pushback that you've gotten with this from MSPs that are talking to you about this? What's the biggest pushback item that you get from them that you've overcome?
All right, so all right, so I have a bunch of funny stories that we could talk about. At least I think they're funny. The first is that almost everybody in the industry is dealing with almost the exact same set of problems. And you go into like one company that does $100 million a year, then you go to a company that's 1.7 billion or whatever a year. And then you actually come back and it's almost the exact same problems. And it comes back to this lack of connectivity between systems. And I just find that as such a funny thing because we are literally selling connectivity as an industry. And so you're dealing with companies that are that are selling the majority of technology to the world, and then their internal systems literally are just not digitally connected. So we're seeing that kind of across the board.